Oh, brother. We are en route to the famous place called the Costco. But in this little trip, instead of doing this behind the studio, let's do this in the car. We are talking today about the Sony a7c and the a7 IV. Why, you may ask? Well, those are the two cameras I happen to have and spin out. But one of them has to go and one is going to definitely stay. All right, we are filming not on the a7 IV, but we're filming on the DJI Action 2. Why? Because it's a lot easier. If you don't know about DJI Action 2, check out my other videos and about that camera. It's an awesome little small camera, especially for stuff like this in the car. I'll show you my setup. I'll do a whole review on my setup on this little thing for this type of vlog stuff. All right, let's get back on task. a7c, a7 IV, two different style of cameras, and it should be an easy, no-brainer decision. But if you own the a7c or you've had the chance to play with it and use it, a lot of folks fell in love with it. Let's talk about the C now, and let me give you all the positive things I like about the C. Number one, the size is so easy to pack away and put in a small bag. It's kind of like slides right in. There's nothing to catch on anything. The top viewfinder doesn't catch on anything, so it's easy to store in, like, even that lens pocket kind of fits right down in there. Little lens that comes with the combo set, I'll put that up now, is a great little lens for that camera. It's like 28 to 70, I think ish. Not much range, but it's good quality stuff. I've used it before for some reviews. If you buy that with that camera, it's a good lens to have. Keeping the form factor down, pocketable kind of camera, the full frame camera in your pocket, a deep pocket, like a coat pocket, something like that. It gets more difficult doing that with something like the 4. If you want to have a camera to throw in like a pocket, but you still want that full frame look, a full frame ability, video coverage you can get with a full frame on a Sony camera, then it is a great option. Other things I like about that camera that are a little bit weird, I love the sound of the shutter. I don't know what it is. It's like, and I'll play the shutter sound. But I just like it more than any other Sony camera that I've had, the shutter sound. Why that's a thing for some people, I don't know, but it's just the small things like that. It kind of gives you a little bit of confidence when you take that photo. It's like, ooh, it's gonna be a sweet photo. I don't know why that is, but if you're the same way, let me know. If you're not, then whatever. So that camera, for photography wise, is kind of like using your iPhone. Meaning, because you're gonna use the back viewfinder, this screen back here, to kind of get your shot framed in. You're not really going to falter to that side. Now, I have used this in bright sunny conditions. I have used it for soccer games, trying to get it, and that is one of the negative things about that camera, is that you can get away with it. It works. You're sticking your whole eye in there so you can see, and then it kind of, after a while, you get kind of fatigue around the eyeball. You're constantly sticking your eye in there. It's a very small little screen inside. So that's one of the negative things about that camera, that it's not that great for photography. It's okay for that run and gun. You use the back screen, take photos, if you like doing it that way. But most photographers like to put their eye in that viewfinder so that they can really capture that moment and get it framed right and actually know what you're doing and know what's in focus, that kind of thing.
Count, and 8 tries added up.
1, 2. Didn't say 3, did I?
But I'm sort of an expert at Photoshop, so it turned out fine in the end.
So the a7c, another thing that is kind of not so great compared to the 4, is the active steady shot. Handheld, walking with the camera, it crops in some, and you'll see that, but it's worth it. To me, it's worth it. You get a better walking shot. If you use the standard on the a7c and you walk, the shot is pretty much not going to be what you want it to be. It's going to be a little jerky, uncomfortable to watch, and you're going to have to use some stabilization software to help that out. Whether it's Final Cut Pro, or if you do ahead of time and you actually think ahead and kind of increase your shutter speed up a little bit so you can then put it in Catalyst Browse. But that's a lot of extra steps versus having the ability on an a7 IV to have the active steady shot ready, available. As soon as you look at the video and put it in your timeline, it is good to go. Before we talk about stabilization, they must have changed something with the screen between the C and the 4, because with polarized glasses, I can't see the C. I can see the 4. Now, I've corrected that before by using a screen protector. When you put a screen protector on the lens, it works fine. So I would have to add a screen protector to the C so I could see myself. Yeah. Wow, I didn't notice that. So on the a7 IV, they fixed that. They must have put a type of film over the screen to allow you to use sunglasses, polarized sunglasses. Okay, that's a good note. All right, we're 4K 24, 3.2 on the f scale, and trying to manually adjust the aperture. A little bit different than on this camera. I'm trying to figure out. Anyway, we're on active steady shot. That's what's the most important thing right now. And I'm holding it by the lens, just walking. And all right, let's do our walk. Again, holding it by the lens, same distance away as I walk. And it is a nice cold 28 degree day. Check left, the car is 28 degrees. We'll do a little turn. At an arm distance away. So this active steady shot for me seems to be a better option, run and gun option, than just using the a7c with the standard, because we'll see in a minute we'll do the same thing and you can tell the difference between the two on the stabilization. So now we're just hand holding and walking. That is not going to be an option. I'm not going to bust my butt. Readjust the aperture. Do we do a jog test of some sorts? And this is not going to be an action camera, but I guess we'll just do a 2-second jog. And that's about it. Do a little short jog. And there we go. Our test is complete. Came all the way out here just to test that. The other thing with the a7c is buttons. Enough buttons for customization on the camera. All this stuff comes with a caveat. You're buying a smaller camera for convenience, you're gonna have to give up things, right? So giving up more extra buttons because you have less realty space to do that with. All right, let's talk about the a7 IV. Again, I'm not gonna run through all the specs of these things. You can have other reviews that can talk about those specs. Yes, it comes with a bigger sensor. For example, let's say you take it, you have the ability to crop in on a photo using the 35mm crop in mode. When I crop in on the a7c, it's a 10 megabyte file. or it says 10M instead of you on the a7 IV, it's a 14. So it has to be something, right? Because it's 14 versus 10. But how much really is that in real life? It is a better sensor. Now, I have also heard one benefit for the C is that when you get these bigger sensor stuff like this, it does worse in low light. So some folks say the C looks better in low light versus a 4. You can't just kind of wipe that aside. That's something to think about. These are the reasons why I will most likely keep the 4 and sell the C. Number one, I use it for photography. I use it with a big lens for sports photos, soccer team, that kind of thing, dance photos, high school stuff. I use a 7200 millimeter lens, Sony. I like to use the viewfinder when I take those kind of photos. So viewfinder, I did miss from having the a7R4. That's one of the big things that's going to push me away from the C. Another thing is the active steady shot. That's number 2. Active steady shot is huge enough for me as the number 2 factor to keep the 4 over the C. The last thing is a kind of a combination of the touch screen, the menu system, the bigger sensor, 422-bit color, 10-bit. I'm putting that down low because I haven't got to that level of color grading where I know the difference between the two. I'm just starting to play with it now, but I don't like to do a lot of that stuff. I do like exposure and that kind of thing and a little bit of color on the curves, but nothing like really changing it up, going from like a S-Log3 to my LUT, that kind of stuff. I'm sure I can get there. That's something I can do in the future. So that's kind of like lower on the list for me. It could be higher for you, but lower on the list for me. Those are my thoughts that the 4 is going to beat out the C for me. Now, will I regret that decision? I can see myself on vacation missing the C, taking it on excursions, that kind of thing, throwing it in a backpack. But it's an expensive $1,700 to $2,000 camera to have just for, because it's a little bit smaller in my bag and I can maybe use it for product video shooting down because it's lighter to put it on a tripod shooting down. It all depends on your budget, right? If I really want something not the product showcase thing, I would go back to the ZV1 and buy that only just for product review looking down with product showcase. That argument I really can't make for myself. Remember to like, subscribe. Leave me your comments and thoughts below about these two cameras. I'm going to keep the C for a little while. There's something to talk about if you're interested in like selling and buying used equipment. Sony has announced they're going to stop making the a7c due to chip shortage, which is you have to gauge this factor right now, right? There's enough stock out there right now that most places like B&H, Best Buy, all that kind of stuff have a stock in the C from buildup over time. Eventually that will start depleting down, and then there will be a gap period until they make the a7C2. You'll have that period that your product could be worth more later on. Me keeping that camera a little bit longer might be beneficial for my resale value of that camera, because it'll get to the point where if folks are looking for them, then they'll pay a little bit more because not that many out there. You can't buy them new. I just can't wait too long and Sony announces the second version of that camera, and then you're screwed. And then your value just plummets. All right, here we go. Sony, look at this donkey. She's burying her head in the sand looking for stuff. Sony a7 IV, picture profile 2, 24 frames a second, 4K, blah, blah, blah. I have the Rode Video Micro going here. Levels at 11. And active steady shot is on. So we'll do the same thing with the C here in a second. I'm gonna compare the two. I got the Inkee Filter 8 on just to help out as much as I can with the sun. We'll walk and talk. Whoa, almost slipped on that one. This is one of the main, I think, benefits of the 4 is this active steady shot. This is just as standard on the C. I mean, both you can do the, what's it called? The catalyst. You do the catalyst on both. Continue to walk one-handed, just holding the grip of the camera. Is it better to do that, or is it better to hold the lens itself? Let's see. Okay, now holding just the lens of the camera. It is colder than I thought it would be out here, even though there is snow everywhere. That's a good hint that it's cold. But garbage men are back. But it is really nice having this form factor of the C being small. So I wanted to say a couple of more things before I wrap up, and pretty much have made my decision that I will be selling the C. I'll miss it, but there's a lot of features that I think that after using the 4 more, that I realize it's a better camera. Small details, things. I like the red light that goes around the screen, telling you that it is recording. That's something they had in the an S3 and then A1, I believe. Sort of a newer feature. Oh no, that new camera, the EZV10, whatever that thing was called, the budget camera. They put that in there, that red tail light that goes around the screen. So that's nice to have. Yeah, I'm really liking the 4 more than I thought I would like it. I knew I would like it, but I really like the C. So I'm going to miss the C, but I just have to get over it. Oh boy. All right. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, fun stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm getting an Action camera in the mail to test out. The XTU is the second version of it. We'll see how that goes.